everyone. Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Always so happy to find you here. I do upload on Mondays and Thursdays. So when you click subscribe anytime while watching this video, you will be alerted when I have uploaded new content for your view. And of course, my pleasure. It is indeed my pleasure. Welcome to any new subscribers. I am thrilled to have you here. And I hope you stay for a very good long time. I just would love to keep your company. You keep mine. I am, as we're so the comedy world, and particularly Black comedy, has not been any laughing matter since Katt WIlliams broke the internet on Shannon Sharpe's Club Shay-Shay show. And there's been so many responses and talks and conversations about this age of truth that he demonstrated. And I would agree. I did about 3 videos in response to that, and where I found much of what he was saying worthy for us to consider. And having said that, Shannon just had Monique, comedian Monique, on his show, and it was a close to 3-hour long video. What I typically do if I'm going to put my valuable 2 cents in, because my 2 cents is valuable, honey, trust and believe. I typically will watch the interview a couple of times, but I just can't. This was just too long. It had an energy to it that's different than my common energy. So I tend to kind of push away from that type of energy, and that's fine. That's fine. But I'm just speaking of myself. I didn't want to watch it twice, but I made notes that I thought were noteworthy for my contribution to this. And so here's my contribution to this. And for those of you who are fairly new to my channel, you see that even my channel is Sheri Lewis Speaks Truth. The dynamic of truth is very important to me. We are in an age of truth where truth can at least be heard now, where it's not silenced and shunned and carefulized and all of that. And that to me is wickedly impressive. I'll put it that way. And as well, I start off many times, most of my videos when I first started my channel, talked about 2 components of truth regulation, and that is an apology and accountability. There's just no other way around it when the truth is something that involves people. Now, for example, when former President Al Gore spoke about the inconvenient truth of global warming, it wasn't about a person, it was about our Earth's atmosphere. So there's no apology, but there is the accountability piece for treating our Earth better. I don't care how you look at it. Truth is going to demand one or both of those, an apology or an apology and accountability. When you listen to Monique's interview with Club Shay-Shay on Club Shay-Shay, she uses the word accountability and apology. I lost count. And like I said, it's just too long for me to go back and just listen to the whole thing again. But this is what she is, to me, yearning for, hungry for, and needing for her to once and for all be silent on what she is speaking out on. So having said that, that's my preface. Having said that, I'm going to give a few key points on the observation of that interview from my perspective as a personaltologist, a person that has been involved with human behavior and having to deal with the ego all the time. So having said that, here's my valuable 2 cents worth. I got my nerves calling it valuable. I've earned it. One is, let me say it this way. Years ago, former NBA star who's now on sports channels, Charles Barkley, wrote a book called I Might Be Wrong, But I Doubt It. I always loved the title of that. And I love the book. I have the book. So this is what I am offering now. I might be wrong, but I doubt it. Trust me. So just trust me in that. So let's get into Monique. So first of all, what I heard was a very hurt person, a very tired person, a very peeved person, a very you will pay for this person, almost vengeful. And I didn't disagree with much of what she had to say. I would say that I heard her cry. I heard her well, and she's been at this for some time. I don't disagree with her words or her experience from her words or her desire to see change and her insistence to be heard. I don't think I challenge or disagree with that. But her delivery and her passion was more powerful than the words we should have heard. And I'll say it this way. We have also been in a culture of reality TV shows. So we almost seem like we want a good fight. And a good fight doesn't always make the best landing. I'll just put it that way. So let me just, I'm going to have to use notes. And I don't speak to notes. So this is why I feel a scatter here. So I just need a better flow. I usually just speak from my heart. I rarely ever use notes, but this was so long. I wanted to get the key point. So here's point number one. Within 5 minutes of her interview with Shannon, she adoringly spoke of how she looked up to Oprah, and Oprah gave her the hope of possibility, she said. And she also said that from watching Oprah, she craved fame and even prayed to the universe to be famous. Well, right there. So, okay, so her prayer is her prayer. But right there, she was developing an ego to some degree because she craved fame. She didn't say anything about wanting to become an actress or to get into acting or to be, because Oprah was a news reporter at the time, I believe, that she wanted to perhaps have that type of job career or get into that lane for a career. She said, I craved fame, even prayed to the universe to let me be famous. She said, I just fell in love with the lights, the glamour, and the glitz, she says. First 5 minutes. First 5 minutes. So fast forward now, when the very person who was her symbolic example of what she wanted to be seems to have let her down. That's almost like a fall from glory. Now, these are my, I use my words, these are my words. It's like she had Oprah up to such a pedestal because Oprah gave her the possibility that this can happen. And so, of course, she had great high regard for her. So now with this struggle she's in, she's let down from the imagination and she's let down from the experience. And as a decorated actress with an Oscar of her own, is offended. Okay, so there's that. She goes on to say, I stand for truth and what is right. And that resonates with me because so do I. I'm a principled person. I stand for truth and what is right. But like Shay-Shay said, that's not your place. On a couple of things that she said, like when she went and told a friend that he wasn't the father of this child. Well, I don't want to use that as an example because the person you never want to do, that's just low down. But you have to remember what is your place. You have to remember what is your place. So when she gave the example that she was on a film, and I felt to write that down, and it was either Lee Daniels or I think it was Lee Daniels was directing when he was when his role was a producer, And she went to tell the director, this is wrong. You need to stand up for all of this. This is not your place. Even when you're right, it is not your place. Now, she goes on to say the person was so grateful and the person could, well, this was a time for this person to develop their own ability to have a courageous conversation, which I've had at least 5 videos on the ability to have a courageous conversation. Because if I did it for you all the time and I spoke all the time, you're never able speaking for yourself, able to speak for yourself. You're going to come to me to do it. And you lose the opportunity to present a genuine emotion, a genuine feeling, a genuine thought on the matter, because you're now translating through me to speak for you about how you really feel about a thing. Okay? Okay? So again, she said, I stand for truth and what is right. So do I. But if I went charging on everything, and particularly in this country, I'm an American. Particularly in this country, I'd be on a battlefield all the time. So you have to pick your battle, is what I'm saying. So that's that. She went on to say all the different things that she has done in behalf of the next generation. What would our children? Well, our children need somebody with integrity and a good example. Well, I agree with that too. I agree with that too. But it doesn't come from just one person. All of us are more imperfect than we are perfect. Trust me, I trust. It comes from the church. It comes from the schools. It comes from the community. It comes from politics. It comes from structures. It comes from learnings. It comes from home environments. It comes from close friends. It comes from, so not one person can example that all the time. This is setting an expectation lofty again. Like you said, I prayed to the universe for this fame and this glitzy, glamorous, like you're way up here when we're just trying to be ground level and be a value-based person, a person you want to have around, a good person. So don't put it all on me. Just like I said, the conversation, don't put it all on a person. Develop yourself along the way. So I took that from that. I also took from this long interview, and again, many people are posting comments about, I feel differently now that you told us more behind the scenes. Because years ago, when you were talking about this, I almost shut you out. People are saying it. Now I get it better. Now I get it. Well, let me say this about that. Many companies, not just in Hollywood, but many companies, even when they have a lawsuit, they put a silencer in there, not to be disclosed, not to be discussed, an NDA agreement, to confidentiality agreement, all of this, because they don't want you to see the monster they really are. Now, I'm talking from experience working around it. And so when you go for a person within a structured entity that's already like that, it's hard to penetrate that. I'm not saying it's impossible. Gosh, no, my goodness. I would love for her to make change to all that industry, not just her alone, but just capture all of this moment and there be a change. Do I believe that's going to happen? No, but I might be wrong, but I doubt it. So, having said that, when you list names, when you call a name, you invoke the person. This is why when I do an investigation, if a person mentions another person, I say, do they have anything to do with this? Because unfortunately, or fortunately for myself, I have learned that it's just easier to pass through the lie and hope to find the truth than to start with asking for the truth and keep bumping and grinding around a lie. Now, it's just the nature of people. And people say all the time, my goodness, Sheri, I don't know how you can still have a love for people with the type of encounters you have. Well, it's not all the time. Trust. I wouldn't be able to. It's I've learned to be able to put it in proper check, and I can almost read the soul of a person. I hate to say that. I hate to say that. But it was the best way for me to be successful within a genre of people that I know the ego will meet you at every corner. So, having said that, the names, calling out all these names. Tiffany Haddish. Well, if she had a husband like mine, she wouldn't say that. D.L. Hughley. Well, he didn't do this for me. Kevin Hart. Well, he loaned my family money, but then when I asked him to talk to Tyler Perry, he couldn't get through to Tyler Perry, and then he didn't. All of these things where you put the person up and jolt them back down, which is the same thing that happened to her. So it's reciprocating. You follow me? You follow me? It's reciprocal. They did have a relationship with you worth gratifying relationship, worth cherishing. You don't need to call their name if they're not useful to this conversation. You're wanting an apology and accountability from three major people, Tyler Perry, Oprah Winfrey, and Lee Daniels, whom I believe gave it already. Bringing out others, particularly, now this is me talking. This whole issue is about all Black comedians right now. And I find great discomfort with that. I find great discomfort with that. So to name all of these names and to say, I'm going to keep going back to them until they give me an apology and take accountability. Well, you know what? It's been since 2009 or maybe before when Precious came out. How many more years are you going through this? They said they're not going to apologize. Now, she gave examples where she talked to Kevin Hart to talk to Tyler Perry. And then Tyler Perry said he's not going to apologize. And then Kevin Hart went silent. Well, there was your answer right there. It may peeve you off, yes. No one likes to be shunned, silenced, or ghosted, especially when you're hurt. But then she went to Stephanie Mills. Now, I don't know which order. I can't recall. I think she said it, but I ain't going back to that long interview. She went to Stephanie Mills and the same thing. He's not going to apologize. She went to Reverend Al Sharpton and the same thing. He's not going to apologize. How much more are you going to go through this to realize the person who you believe owes you an apology refuses to give you an apology? What other option can you embrace so that you can find the peace that you need from that apology that's not coming? Is what I'm saying. Now, I don't want to sound sour because listening to her, I felt the passion. I believe a lot of what she was saying. And she's been saying all these years, I'm gonna go after you guys. Let's talk about going after you guys. This is Hollywood. And there are often contractual challenges. Prince, whom I love all the time, always wear my little, I got it all. Always wear my little Prince necklace. Fought his contract, musical contract, for so long that he changed his name into a slave symbol at one time in protest. He had contractual problems. Bette Davis, way back in the years, 1930s and 40s, fought the Warner Brothers like no tomorrow. Michael Jackson fought Sony Records like no tomorrow. It happens often. Have they changed yet? Do they need to change? Yes, but have they? So this is not uncommon in that industry. But what happens when you start to fight the industry? You are actually fighting an entity. E-N-T-I-T-Y. Anything that ends in the letters I-T-Y is the whole compass of the thing. It's not just a piece who you're trying to get. So in this case, Oprah and Ty, it's not just that, it's the whole entity of the thing, I-T-Y. University is all the colleges in a university. Humanity, all of humanity, not Black, white, Asian, people in China, people in America, people abroad, people in India. It's all of humanity, I-T-Y, all of humanity. Well, I-T-Y, reality. The reality is there is an I-T-Y complicity in Hollywood that allows these things and have allowed it for so long. That's why the Me Too movement shook everything. I can't stand complicity. And let me tell you why. To me, it's worse than a hypocrite. It's worse than a liar and a thief and an Indian chief. Complicity is. It turns a character inside out and upside down, and I don't like it. And let me tell you why. A person who is complicit, complicity, has the power to do something about a thing and does it. Now, if you watch any of my past videos, I said one of the greatest compliments ever given to me, I don't care what that was ever given to me, was when I overheard two of our housekeeping crew after work. I was in the ladies' restroom changing to go to the gym after work. So I wanted to be gym ready so I could just go in there. They didn't know they were in there cleaning. And they didn't know I was in the back. The back is like a big one, like a real big roomy one. And I heard them say, I really like the HR. I really like Sheri. She does something about something. It could be the smallest thing, but she does something about it. Now, they didn't know I was even back there, but I heard them say my name. And that stuck with me. Because even our cleaning crew, now, it's not to take away clean, it could have been any position, but there they are in a restroom, cleaning after hours, and saying that. They went on to say, oh, when I ask her for this, it comes immediately. And they were really happy. And I thought, for that? Well, yeah, for that. Now, at the time, I couldn't get it. I haven't done anything. But to them, I did. That stuck with me. And that's been years ago. Now, I'm saying that to say this. A person who is complicit has the power and authority to do something about something and won't. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So, having said that, as we demand a change in an industry, which is actually an entity, it could take all these years. She's been talking since 2009. And now we're in an age of truth where people can hear her differently and hear her in a way that they weren't before, because Hollywood is a very glitz and glamour that she wanted. Well, how do you get past that? Because the ego's in the way. So this is what I'd say to that. As she's having these conversations, she is countlessly asking for an apology, almost pleading for an apology, saying, I'm not going to stop until I get an apology. Well, she might be at a dead end, because here's what I also see, having been in this lane. They're quiet as Muppets. The main three she's talking about. Now she mentions other comedians' name about industry, but the main three that she wants is from. They're quiet as Muppets, and let me tell you why I think that is. She's spoken so much that she is this close to a lawsuit for slander, for character assassination, for calling them things that she doesn't have proof, meaning hard proof. Well, she recorded Tyler Perry without him knowing, and that right there makes me think very different of anyone, first of all. So, because you lose all the trust. But anyway, it's not to pick on her, it's to say how she's going about it. And if she's not careful, she will have a lawsuit. They're no longer, would you want to speak with her? I wouldn't. I would say, I'm sorry she feels this way, but not to her. Because at this point, their ego's up front. And the ego's like, I'll be damned if I ever get that kind of, it's that. The ego is because she called them juggernauts. Well, and they are juggernauts. You don't go after a juggernaut. Now, I know that sounds that we're allowing them to be this way. But to make change, you don't start pounding at the entity. You start picking apart the pieces within the entity. Like the Me Too movement picked apart that, and you see that went way down. You hardly hear it anymore. They're careful now. And that's how you make that change. So as she's pounding them, she's giving them lawyer leverage, I'd say. And why would you want to do that? So I would not continue having these types of conversations. And I am not in advising to her. I am just saying it's not new. Many big megastars have had the same thing. So it is the entity of the industry. And so let me end with this. There are two movies in which Bette Davis stars in, and I loved her. I think she's like one of my favorite actresses. But there's two movies that if I was sitting across from Monique, I would say this. I would love for you on a rainy day when you're not doing anything at home. And the husband you love so dear. And I love the way she loves her husband like a king. I love that. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Love it. Yes, yes. And she's right. That kind of love right there, that's the thing. But let me get back. I love that love. I would say to her, on a rainy day, when your kids and grandkids are gone, your husband's not home, and you're just relaxed, light yourself a candle, have yourself your favorite beverage, and pull up the movie Bette Davis stars in called Dangerous or The Star. Now, if you don't think you can watch both, they're good. Make sure you watch The Star and see if you find similarities to yourself in that. And so for those of you, and that's what I'd say. Let's say I'm her best friend. I'm your best friend, Mo. Watch it alone and just really see if you see similarities. So having said that, here I'm going to drop the link to that movie in my description box. But this is what the movie is about. It's about an aging and falling star, and it's called The Star, an actress who became very difficult along the way of her going up in her acting career and started making other demands. I want my own room. This isn't clean enough. Where's my favorite, even my favorite beverages? And she was losing the glitz of her youth. She was going into her 40s and she wasn't getting the parts. And she began to scream and shout, and she was having tantrums. And she became difficult to work with, and her own agent couldn't handle her. She began to go through ruin. They were blackballing her. They didn't want to deal with her. She was just too much. And finally, she pleaded for a part, and they were to have her audition. And she said, the nerve of them to have me audition for a role. She was even offended by that. Finally, they were able to get her agent said, look, please, I worked so hard. He didn't even tell her that he pleaded. He actually had to plead just to get her an audition. He said, would you just, I mean, when you watch the movie, you'll see, he said, will you just go do what they ask you? Because if you play this role right, I'm sure all of your opportunities will open back up. So to me, this is a Hail Mary opportunity for her. What does she do? She gets there and gets right back. And she said, okay, yes, I'll do it. I'll do it. But what does she do? She goes to the audition and she tells the lighting director, the lights are too bright. She tells the director, this is not how this scene should be read. Isn't she supposed to be crying over a long lost one? You make it sound like a comedy. Oh, who wrote this? This doesn't make. And they sat back and watched the old actress come right back. And they said, they just don't want to deal with it. So it's not that you don't have the skill set. It's not that you're not comedic. It's not that you're not an Academy Award winning actress. It's not that you can't bring down the house. It's not that you can't have a great interview. It's that no one wants to deal with that energy. They don't want to deal with the difficulties. And she swore in her talk to Shannon that she was not difficult. And let me tell you this, I believe she is. It's not to knock her truth. Whatever she experienced with Tyler, Oprah, and Lee Daniels probably happened, at least from her perspective. But when you present an ego eye, I addict, EGOITY, an ego that's out of control and it's its own entity. Few people can deal with that. So what she's facing is the ITY of audacity. They're looking at her as, you've the audacity to go for me still after all these years? And what she needs now to really be fruitful, I think, now this is just me, is the ITY of humility. Yes, it's your truth. Yes, it probably happened. Yes, we're in the age of truth. Yes, people are, go, no, thank you for telling us. But if she would use the humility and stay in the lane by which she's hired for, you don't need to co-direct. You weren't hired for that. Even if you know it could be directed differently, you're hired to act. Do what I call JD, job description, what your job description says. Now, I know that's tough because, like she said, as a little child, I wanted the fame and the glory. Well, that's what this movie talks about, the star. The fame and the glory, I'm already there. It's the ego. And it's just, I need my way. It's very difficult to calm that down. And so, Monique, that's why you don't have your apology. Egos are budding. And they're like, I'll be damned if I'm gonna do it now. That kind of thing. It's the egos that are butting. And I'm sorry that we're having this, but I'm happy that we're having this because, like Katt WIlliams says, the truth doesn't need any motivation. And this is what I'm adding to that. It doesn't need an explanation. It doesn't need to be forced. It doesn't need to be pounding. It can gracefully be said, just like I'm going to say it now. And that is, while your truth may have set you free, and it may have told a story on a lot of people that seem to have hurt you, you're still in 2009, which was 2 decades ago. Almost. At least a decade and a half ago. You deserve to be free of this, with or without their apology. You deserve to live a wonderful, fruitful, loving, fully happy life, despite what they did. See, this is how you queen up. This is how you show your royal highness, is that I don't need to carry the load of you anymore. Now everyone knows. And let the chips fall where they are. What she's wanting is she's wanting to determine the results and the outcomes, and she's not going to stop until they give. But you don't have that. Some of this could be universal at this point. And you know, and I know, you never step ahead of the universe. You are a utensil to be used in this overall entity of this thing. So be the utensil. Be the utensil, and then sit back and enjoy the scenery that's there for you. You deserve to have the peace that passes all understanding. And look good while you're doing it, okay? Because after all, you are precious, and I love you. If you've gotten this far, please click subscribe, bring a friend with you next time, share this content with anybody that you think would be interested in it. Stay tuned to my next video, in which I'm going to focus on Shannon Sharpe himself. Okay? All right. Take care, you guys. I love you. Stay safe out there. Bye.